delays due to a collision between the A1056 and the A189. Traffic should return to normal by 10. The A14 eastbound in Suffolk is congested between junction 55 Copdock and junction 56 Ipswich Docks with a 15-minute delay. Lastly, note the A701 northbound at Bloomfield Roundabout is closed for emergency works. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, weekdays from 9 p.m.
Should we be paying more for the BBC, do you think?
Yes, in the short term. It's for a cost of a cappuccino a week. You don't only get all the television channels, you get all the radio channels, local news, you get the websites, you get World Service, a significant amount of that. You've got a vast range of things. It's not just a television licence. And the BBC licence fee, in real terms, has gone down about 40% in 15 years. What I think we need is two things. One is an immediate increase, significant increase, so we stabilise the situation.
Go on, how much, Roger? What's the fee?
Hold on.
Tell me how much.
Then, secondly, hold on. We need to have a proper debate publicly about whether we want public service broadcasting, how we want to deliver it, and how we want to pay for it. The BBC has cut as much as it can. We should now have a public debate about what we want.
OK. All right, the BBC's cut as much as it can. I mean, grief. I would love to try to see the BBC try to operate on the kind of budget.
I thought you were chairman, objective chairman here. It was a head-to-head with this lady, and you were going to be an objective chairman.
Yeah, well, you decided not to answer any of my questions. But anyway, June, I'll put this one to you. Well, what do you think about the money?
Yes.
June, what do you think about the money being paid for the BBC? Should we pay more?
In 2020, you lost 80, let's have a look, 80,000. And then by 2023 to 24, that went up to 500,000 licence fees not being paid. That's because they don't want the product. A lot of the reason is the bias side of the news, which is why people watch GB News. The programme making, I can understand the creative part of it, but what you've got to look at from the public's point of view is they pay their licence whether they're using all those facilities or not.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Very good morning to you. It's 9:30 on Friday, July the 11th, live across the UK. This is Britain's Newsroom with Ben Leo and Nana Akweer.
Yes, good morning to you. One in, one out, already in doubt.
Very first time, migrants arriving via small boat will be detained and returned to France in short order.
French President Emmanuel Macron blames Brexit lies for Britain's immigration crisis. But as the Prime Minister hails his new migrant deal as groundbreaking, Reform UK leader Nigel Farage isn't impressed.
Is Brexit Britain? We voted to take back control of our borders, not to accept a deal given to us by a French president.
Sick note crackdown. GPs are told to stop signing people off from work and instead send patients to job coaches or the gym. Do not believe how many people were on the sick last year.
Defining Islamophobia after huge concerns about a blasphemy law by the back door and limitations on free speech, the man behind its definition, Dominic Grieve, spoke exclusively on Chopper's Political podcast.
We will not introduce some blasphemy law to protect religion, whether it's Islam or anything else, by the back door, and nor will it have any impact on the recurrent laws in relation to freedom of expression.
Breaking this morning, the UK economy is dealt another blow as GDP falls by 0.1%. What's happened then to Labour's plan for growth?
There's not very much water, and it's like this sometimes, but it's been a long while since it was last like this.
I think it's terrible, but it's inevitable.
But when we get the weather, the rain, there's nothing done with it. As you can see, it's gone.
The first hosepipe ban of the year comes into force in Yorkshire. £1,000 as temperatures are set to reach 32 degrees today.
Your actions. That's what makes you who you are.
And Superman, or maybe super woke, because there are mixed reviews of the new superhero movie, as some critics are up in arms that it has pro-migrant themes.
You put your left foot in, your left foot out, in, down, in, out. Yeah, shake it all about. Let's be honest. It's ridiculous, isn't it? You know that, I know that. Because this is the thing, they're allowed to come to the UK, then when you try and send them back, welcome to the legal challenges, we're paying for that. The only way it would work is if when the boat arrives it's turned back and they're taken back, or it's turned around in the middle or something like that, or they're returned on landing in the UK immediately, and then you can do it, and that would stop it. But if they come here, they can do the challenges, they have to stay somewhere. It's just
I just think they just can't come in the first place. And also, I'd like to know if and when they are sent back to France, where do they go? Are they just dispersed back into Calais to try again for another crack? Are they put in detention centres? We don't know any of the details.
I think they might process the same people really, really fast for no real reason, even though, and then send them back, and then they'll be allowed some other way.
OK, and what do you think of Yvette Cooper on Breakfast just then, the Home Secretary?
I just don't have any confidence in her at all. I appreciate that she came on, but she should be coming on, and we shouldn't be thankful that she has. That's her job. She's a public servant, and we pay for her. So we're viewers and listeners, and we are taxpayers. So they are government servants, and I don't see they are our servants, as in they serve us. I don't see why they should have an option to not be on the #1 news breakfast show in the country, and you know, #1.
I just felt like she spoke a lot without really saying much.
Always.
Lots of waffle, with respect. Anyway, big show coming up. First, though, let's get your news headlines with Tatiana Sanchez.
Ben, thank you very much and good morning. The GB News headlines at 9:35. The Home Secretary says the new one-in, one-out migrant scheme agreed with France yesterday is robust enough to withstand potential legal challenges. The government is urging GPs to issue fewer sick notes and instead direct patients towards gyms and support services to help more people to return to work. The UK economy shrank unexpectedly in May, contracting for the second month in a row. The Office for National Statistics said the economy contracted by 0.1%. Sir Keir Starmer has agreed to meet Donald Trump during the president's visit to Scotland, which could take place within weeks. According to reports, the date and venue are yet to be finalised. And a hosepipe ban is coming into force in Yorkshire as the third heat wave of the summer grips the country. And those are the latest GB News headlines. For now, more news at the top of the hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Hello. Good morning to you. Hello to you, Nan. That's a good start.
It is, isn't it? You see, we're in sync.
Great minds, eh? Or not. Hello, welcome. This is Britain's Newsroom, live across the UK with Ben Leo and, of course, Nana Akwe. I hope you're well. Thank you for your company.
So the Prime Minister has secured one-in, one-out migrant deal with France in the latest effort to reduce small boat crossings.
The scheme still needs the approval of the European Commission, and President Macron took direct aim at Brexit yesterday, blaming so-called Brexit lies for the small boats crisis.
As if the people of this country can't make up their own mind. We made up our own mind, and a lot of us haven't changed it. I haven't changed my mind. Have you changed your mind?
Yeah, but Nana, you were duped. You were too thick to know what you were voting for, you silly.
I'm so thick, aren't I?
I know.
Well, what did you think? Did you find that a bit offensive, a bit insulting?
I found that... I think Macron's whole state visit is insulting. I said yesterday, to some controversy, I think France is a hostile state. You know, they are fuelling and not doing much about the disintegration of this country, putting the people of this country at risk, including, you know, most importantly, women and girls, and they're not doing a damn thing about it.
But
so the fact we gave this guy a state visit, he turns up, mutters in French whilst he's in London.
On purpose.
And then has a go at Brexit voters. I mean, it just beggars belief, but that's where we're at. We just kind of say, yeah, we get on with it. We mutter something and that's it.
But they don't really... But why would it be in his interest to try and protect this country? Look, the bottom line is, I don't understand why he can't see how blatantly obvious the solution is. If they enable, so allow people to leave from Calais or wherever the people are leaving from and get on small boats and don't tackle it, the people will keep coming to that area and sort of blockade their borders and as they have been, and blockade the seafront and everything else like that. If they allowed us to turn the boats back, or they took people back if they went on the boat, then people would stop coming because they'd realise they're not going to get anywhere.
Nice picture on the front of the Daily Telegraph. Lots of women and children seeking refuge there. Anyway.
Home Secretary Yvette Cooper spoke to GB News a few moments ago. Take a listen.
The whole purpose of what we're doing is to bring down these dangerous boat crossings, because we think no one should be making those boat crossings. What we did say, what the Prime Minister said yesterday, is there's no single silver bullet, whether it's about this new returns agreement, which frankly I think is the right thing to do, or any of the other measures that we're talking about. We've seen 6 years of people claiming that one single thing, particularly the previous government claiming one single thing, or opposition parties claiming one single thing, is going to solve it. What we need is a comprehensive approach.
Well, Reform UK leader Nigel Farage didn't take kindly to the French president's attacks on Brexit yesterday.
Is Brexit Britain? We voted to take back control of our borders, not to accept a deal given to us by a French president. But I think what we're facing here is a national security emergency. Australia stopped it by towing the boats back to Indonesia. We will stop it by leaving the ECHR, by getting the right to deport. That will work. If it doesn't, in the end, we'll take the boats back to France.
You see, that's more like it. OK, political commentator Jonathan Liss joins us now. Jonathan, lovely to see you. I am somewhat concerned. One in, one out. But yet, when they arrive at the UK, it sounds to me like they can use the whole legal process and legal systems, and we pay for it again, whilst they try and avoid being sent back to France if they've come by small boats. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I agree that it sounds like a gimmick, and I'm not sure how it would work. Part of the problem is that it's very difficult to actually try to come here safely, because there aren't safe and legal routes for asylum seekers unless there are people coming to Britain legally who then overstay their visas, for example, or they apply through a very limited number of schemes that already exist. So that is a bit of a strange proposition that these asylum seekers who are trying to get to the UK safely and legally, how they're going to be part of this agreement, because they currently don't really exist in large numbers. And as you point out, the people who are selected to be returned to France will be able to mount legal challenges. Really, I think the one thing we could all agree on is this is actually just trying to plaster over cracks. And this is not actually a solution to the problem. Now, you and I will have very different solutions, but I don't think this is an ideal long-term solution to this problem.
So, Jonathan, what is your solution, just out of interest? Have you got one?
Ben, as I've said to you many times, there are lots of things that can be done. They all require cooperation with France. The most obvious one is to have asylum processing centres in France. So when asylum seekers are on, the French beaches trying to get here, what they can do is actually apply for asylum before they actually get on those boats. And that will take away so much of the business model of those people smuggling gangs. Everyone hates those gangs. Everyone wants to smash the gangs, including the people who are getting on those boats. If there was a safe and legal alternative to get on those boats, then definitely they would take it.
I think that you're delusional. If you think that the people who are getting on the boats would do any other thing, a lot of them are getting on there because any other route would they be denied. A lot of them, some of them, even from Afghanistan, coming on those boats, and yet we have a process for people coming from Afghanistan. So I don't really think that. I think, unfortunately, sometimes people don't put their mind in the mind of somebody who's getting on the boat, or the mind of the smuggler. And if you do that, you might realise that that's just a nonsense. All right. Well, listen. Yvette Cooper couldn't pin down how many people would be sent back on this supposed one in, one out. So it wouldn't be everyone. Does that concern you?
Sorry, what concern me? Sorry.
Well, she couldn't pin down a number of people, how many people would come in, or a percentage of the people who've come in by small boats that would be forcibly returned back to France.
Well, look, Nana, I don't think that people should necessarily be returned as a matter of course. I think that people should have their asylum claim processed and then dealt with accordingly.
Yeah, but
And
sorry,
as you
but
know,
the point that what they're trying to do is to stop people from taking a dangerous crossing. So surely what should have happened would be that you'd get halfway, maybe rescued by the RNLI, and then taken back to France. So that way, that would stop people from even getting on the boat in the first place if they knew they'd just immediately be turned back. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, why? We don't know what percentage of the people who arrive via that route will then be sent back. Were you concerned that she couldn't say that? Which
I know. Look, I'm concerned about a lot of things when it comes to asylum. That's probably not the main one. I do think that it's important for the UK and France to have systems in place where, for example, there can be cooperation while the asylum seekers are at sea, and so France can take responsibility for them and take them back. Because, as I keep saying, it's not in anyone's interest that these smugglers are allowed to operate these boats that put asylum seekers in danger.
All right, Jonathan, Liz, thank you very much. Appreciate your company this morning. Have a good day. Right, still ahead. Health Secretary Wes Streeting launches a crackdown on Sick Note Britain as last year, get this, 11 million people were signed off work.
Next, though, Superman or Super Woke? Find out why critics are furious about the new superhero movie released today.
If you're in search, though, of some holiday sun, some summer holiday sun.
Stay here. You don't need
any abroad. But if you are searching for some European sun, here's the forecast for some top destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Whilst the UK will experience Mediterranean-like temperatures on Saturday, it's not going to be quite as hot through the Mediterranean as it has been recently. For the Canaries and for Madeira, fairly typical conditions of the time of year. Breezy, partly cloudy, otherwise fine. But we've got this area of thunderstorms developing across northern Spain, the Pyrenees, Andorra, southern France. They could be quite lively. And for Italy, for Greece, sunny spells. Not quite as hot, but it is going to heat up into next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
French authorities first seized the Lady T, and that's an Eastbourne-based fishing vessel. And next, they fined its skipper, Philip Edwards, €30,000 to release his boat. Now, the Lady T, operating legally under UK jurisdiction, was intercepted by a French patrol ship near the Somme Bay. Now, the incident has sparked massive outrage among British fishermen and is renewing calls for the government to stand firm against French overreach in national waters. Well, I'm delighted to say I'm now joining with Charlotte Edwards, who's the husband. Philip is the skipper of the Lady T and is out fishing right now. Charlotte, welcome to the show. I've got to say, here at GB News, we are hugely supportive and appreciative of British fishermen and fisherwomen. Do a fantastic job. So if you're nervous about the interview, please don't be. I want to ask you how on earth this happened. I mean, there's been a lot of talk, for example, that the Lady T didn't have the correct paperwork, it was fishing illegally, and the French decided to pounce. What's the reality?
The paperwork just slipped through. It was an admin error. The other two boats had the permits, and unfortunately, his didn't at the time. He wasn't in as far in as they said he was. He was about 800 metres in their water. He wasn't near the 12-mile.
He was intercepted by the Pluvier. That's a French Navy ship. You know, by the way, the sort of French Navy ships that just seem to give an escort to illegal dinghies coming into British waters, suddenly pouncing into action. The only boat they've managed to stop seems to be the Lady T.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Who is he? What's he doing there?
They already know who you are, though.
Don't miss this special reunion. Eamon and Anne together again, only on GB News Breakfast this weekend from 6 a.m.
And is that a gardening tan?
No, it's a cypress tan.
Oh, hello. We've got a few bevies. A bit early in the morning, not 10 o'clock, but we're two G&Ts down. Anyway, welcome back. It's 9:48. Ben and Nana with you on Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Right, now, earlier this year, we had all the outrage about Snow White becoming woke.
Yeah, what was the Snow White controversy?
Oh, I don't know.
It was the actress Rachel Zegler who was saying that it wasn't about being saved by a man. She's basically a raging...
Did they have, like, an LGBTQ plus AII?
Oh, of course they did.
Load of dwarfs.
Yeah, of course they did.
Did you?
Well, now, anyway, the latest classic flick movie falling victim to apparent wokeness is Superman. Fox News in America have blasted the new version of the film for having a pro-migrant theme.
Well, GB News entertainment editor Alex Davis, I don't know why I called you Jones. It's because it joins us now. All right, so what's the wokery in this one?
Yes, well, it actually stems from something that the director said, James Gunn. You might know him. He did the Guardians of the Galaxy films, very, very popular. Marvel, the comic book franchise. He's moved over to DC, which is the comic book studios behind Superman. He's come out and he did an interview last week, and he basically said... It's a very an American story because it's a story of an immigrant succeeding in America. Obviously, in America at the moment, it's a very contentious time when it comes to the topic of immigration and illegal immigration with the ICE raids and things like that. So that got picked up by people like Fox News, as you mentioned, as sort of targeting James Gunn to say, why are you politicising this comic book
It's ridiculous, because if immigrants come to this country, and I'm one, my parents are one, and they behave well and are like Superman, nobody would want them to not be here. But if they come in, you know, sort of raping the young girls and things like that, then unfortunately that doesn't work so well.
Well, let's not libel Superman too much, but no, it was very... I'm kidding.
I'm saying that if those who come here behave like Superman, then we'd be great.
Yeah, but this was very much the point. It was very much like nobody was questioning this. The reason why a lot of people are getting very upset about this is it's like, why do you feel the need to try and shoehorn a political issue where it doesn't really necessarily need to be? And then his brother, who stars in the film, Sean Gunn, he came out and said, well, if you're kicking off about these comments that my brother, the director, made, you're not American, because Americans love everybody.
Why can't they just let films be? You know, we mentioned Snow White there. Why do you have to ruin it all with all your comments and your views? Just let people enjoy the film. Who's the main actor in the film? Because maybe I'm wrong, I read some stuff that apparently the new actor in Superman is a little bit on the leaner side, i.e. he's not as sort of buff as Henry Cavill was. Is there any truth in that?
I don't think he's that bad looking, if I must say. His name's David Corenswet. I don't think he's not like The Rock or anything like that. He's not bursting out of his suit. But he's a good-looking fella. He looks very chiselled, very Superman-esque, I actually think.
What about me and Ben, though? We're superhuman.
Obviously, nothing compares to those two, of course. I mean, DC really missed a trick with those two. Yeah.
And when's it launching, the new Superman? Oh, there's me, look. There
you look really buff.
I look all right.
Yeah, there you go. Give David Corenswet a run for his money.
I look good in that too, though.
It's out today, but even though all of this hype has been around it, the box office predictions are saying that it's not looking as bad as Snow White did. Snow White was review bombed, 1 stars everywhere. Nobody was reserving tickets to go see it. This is looking a bit better. The reviews have been mixed, to say the least. A lot of people, like even The Guardian, called it a dim reboot. Standard have said it killed the superhero film. The Times have called it a migraine of a movie. But then some people, like the LA Times, probably more liberal-leaning publications, have
does Superman behave in a more woke manner? Or is it just simply the comments that are made about it?
Like I said, it's mainly just because, from what I can gather, I haven't seen the film yet, unfortunately, but from what I can gather from the reviews and the critics, there's not actually that many it's not like the film is being overhauled for woke shoehorn themes. It was just, for some reason, the director came out and decided to make a big stance about the state of immigration in America and how it draws parallels with his films for some reason.
Here's a question. Does the weather play a part in box office hits or flops? I mean, if you release a movie in the summer, when it's, you know, in Britain, of course, at least, it's pretty balmy at the moment.
I don't have that data. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I reckon I would like to go to cinema this weekend because I cannot stand the heat, to be honest with you, and any excuse to be inside. But I would imagine this weekend a lot of people will be going to the beach and stuff, so they might give this one a miss for another reason rather than the woke sort of comments that have emerged.
Well, Alex Davis, thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. You like the heat?
I love the heat. I don't understand why in this country, when it's hot, people put on the aircon to make it so cold. I'm like...
You won't be seeing Superman this weekend, then?
No, I won't be seeing Superman. But I do love going to the cinema, the big cinemas. You can chill out and they bring food and everything. It's great.
Yeah, nice. All right, well, if we can make it a Superman and Superwoman, Nana, I think we should take it up.
Yeah.
Right, plenty more to come from your superheroes, Ben and Nana.
Banana.
Banana. This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News. Here, though, is your weather.
Yeah, that's right. What about us, though? I like our superheroes thing. Oh, they've gone. We've gone.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It is already very warm out there today and it's going to get hotter. Increasingly sunny skies widely across the UK and temperatures by the afternoon into the 30s in many places. But we do start the day with some mist and low cloud across the far northwest of Scotland, a few spots of drizzle here, some low cloud also for the Irish Sea and some surrounding coasts. Much of this will retreat to the immediate coastline through the morning, and by the afternoon, for much of the UK, it's barely a cloud in the sky and temperatures responding very well, not just in the south, but widely across the UK, temperatures exceeding the mid-20s and in some spots up to 31 or even 32 Celsius. It's going to still feel very warm as we end the day across much of Scotland. We've just got that patchy low cloud affecting Shetland and perhaps some coasts of the Outer Hebrides, but otherwise inland, widespread sunny skies as we go into the evening and temperatures at this stage still at 25, 26 Celsius. Likewise for Northern Ireland, we do have some mistiness around eastern coasts and some of that mistiness may stray onto the coast of West Wales, but otherwise it's simply a clear night to come, and after that hot day, temperatures aren't going to fall very far at all. Despite the clear skies, despite the light winds, we will see some low cloud and some mist in the North Sea become a little more extensive across eastern coasts of the UK by dawn. And we're going to start the day with temperatures of 16 to 18 Celsius, so an uncomfortable night for sleeping for many of us. And after that warm start, expected to get even hotter. Saturday in many areas likely to be the hottest day of the year so far. Not in the southeast, we've got more of an east to southeasterly wind here, keeping things cooler for the east and southeast coast, but elsewhere temperatures widely exceeding 30 Celsius and in one or two spots, perhaps the southwest Midlands, the West Country, 32 or 33 degrees.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M4 eastbound between Junction 30 Cardiff Gate and Junction 32 Corryton, resurfacing work has closed the road with diversions in place. In North Tyneside, an accident on the A19 northbound between the A1056 and the A189 causes lane closures, leading to delays of 50 minutes. Proceed with caution through Windsor and Maidenhead, where a breakdown on the M4 westbound between Junction 7 and Junction 8 has closed one of 4 lanes. And on the trains, anticipate disruptions with cross-country between Taunton and Bristol Temple Meads. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Imagine having an extra £1,000 to spend each week for an entire year. £54,321 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to spend however you like. £54,321 in cash could be landing in your bank account this year. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. It's 10 o'clock on Friday, the 11th of July, 8 days until my birthday. We're live across the United Kingdom. This is Britain's Newsroom with Ben Leo and me, Nana Aquia.
One in, one out. Well, it's already in doubt.
Brexit Britain. We voted to take back control of our borders, not to accept a deal given to us by a French president.
A furious Nigel Farage there as French President Emmanuel Macron blames Brexit lies for Britain's immigration crisis. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister hails his new migrant deal as groundbreaking. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper spoke to GB News a bit earlier.
We need a combination of the returns that we've talked about alongside the 30,000 we have returned since the election to countries all over the world, and also the stronger law enforcement and also the action within French waters.
Sick note crackdown. GPs are told to stop signing people off from work and instead send patients to job coaches or the gym. You will not believe how many people were on sick last year.
And defining Islamophobia after huge concerns about a blasphemy law by the back door and limitations on free speech. The man behind its definition, Dominic Grieve, spoke exclusively on Chopper's political podcast.
We will not introduce some blasphemy law to protect religion, whether it's Islam or anything else, by the back door, and nor will it have any impact on the recurrent laws in relation to freedom of expression.
Backdoor blasphemy law, says Dominic Grieve. He's running this review of Islamophobia. But is he right?
Breaking this morning, the UK economy is dealt another blow as GDP falls by 0.1%. What's happened to Labour's plan for growth?
There's not very much water, and it's like this sometimes, but it's been a long while since it was last like this.
I think it's terrible, but it's inevitable.
But when we get the weather, the rain, there's nothing done with it. As you can see, it's gone.
And we might be an island surrounded by sea, but the first hosepipe ban of the year comes into force in Yorkshire. £1,000 fines are on the table as temperatures are set to reach 32 degrees today.
That's right, reservoir levels are 50% lower than usual as Yorkshire Water bring in the first hosepipe ban of 2025.
Your actions
That's what makes you who you are.
Superman or super woke? There are mixed reviews on the new superhero movie, as some critics are up in arms that it has pro-immigrant themes.
Good morning, thank you for your company. Did you catch the Yvette Cooper interview with GBNews Breakfast this morning? I know you did, Nana. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. She did the thing, she stopped doing the thing that she does normally, which is just keep talking, and then has to be interrupted. I think she's heard that a lot of people are probably sick of that. But I didn't have any confidence in her at all. It felt like, you know, imagine a duck that's in water paddling when there's very little water, just spattering. I just felt that there was really no substance to what she was saying, and I don't think she answered any questions. But I love us. Look at us, superheroes.
What would your superhero talent be? Mine would be super strength to stop the boats. I'd go into the channel, I'd say, Border Force, RNLI, you go home. I'm going to stop the boats.
Mine would be that, and I'd use what power he already has, superpower of wind, just go the boat, blow the boat straight back to France.
I think we should keep those graphics up all show. I think that's a good idea. But in the meantime, there we go. I look all right, don't I?
I look good in that as well. I think I actually look like me. Anyway.
Right. More serious matters. Tatiana Sanchez, who was a superhero in her own right, has your news bulletins.
Ben, thank you very much and good morning. The top stories. The Home Secretary says the new one-in, one-out migrant scheme agreed with France is robust enough to withstand potential legal challenges. Sir Keir Starmer secured the deal in the latest effort to reduce small boats crossing the Channel. The scheme still needs the approval of the European Commission, and French President Macron took direct aim at Brexit yesterday, blaming it for the small boats crisis. Yvette Cooper says migrants crossing the Channel will be detained as part of the deal with France.
The whole purpose of what we're doing is to bring down these dangerous boat crossings because we think no one should be making those boat crossings. What we did say, what the Prime Minister said yesterday, is there's no single silver bullet, whether it's about this new returns agreement, which frankly I think is the right thing to do, or any of the other measures that we're talking about. We've seen 6 years of people claiming that one single thing, particularly the previous government claiming one single thing, or opposition parties claiming one single thing is going to solve it. What we need is a comprehensive approach that looks across the board.
Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp said the UK's migrant returns deal with France is a gimmick which will be no deterrent whatsoever.
I'm afraid this deal is another hopeless gimmick, just like Keir Starmer's pathetic claim a year ago to be smashing the gangs, which has dismally failed because record numbers of illegal immigrants so far this year have crossed the Channel, record ever numbers. This is another gimmick, just like the smash the gangs claim. And the reason for that is that only 50 illegal immigrants per week are going to get sent back to France. And that amounts to only 6% of the illegal arrivals. Now, that means that 94% of illegal arrivals are going to be allowed to stay in the UK.
The former Conservative Attorney General in charge of drawing up the first ever legal definition of Islamophobia has spoken out about his plans for the very first time in Chopper's political podcast. Here's some of what Dominic Grieve had to say.
We will not introduce some blasphemy law to protect religion, whether it's Islam or anything else, by the back door, and nor will it have any impact on the recurrent laws in relation to freedom of expression under law. There is an issue surrounding freedom of expression as against the desire of many Muslims to have some kind of definition which provides a measure of a framework which may help protect them, because they're undoubtedly at the moment the victims of really unpleasant anti-Muslim hatred. You know, respectable lady travelling with a headscarf on the bus will get casual abuse. And this is driving a wedge in our society that is, in my view, very dangerous.
And you can watch and listen to the full interview with Dominic Grieve on this week's episode of Chopper's Political Podcast on gbnews.com and all podcast platforms. In other news, the government is urging GPs to issue fewer sick notes and instead direct patients towards gyms and support services to help more people to return to work. Under the new pilot programme being trialled across 15 locations, GPs will be given money to employ dedicated teams to help people find a job. It comes as the number of NHS fit notes hit 11 million last year, more than double the figure in 2015. Health Secretary Streeting says the UK's economy could no longer afford to keep writing people off. The UK economy shrank unexpectedly in May, contracting for the second month in a row. The economy contracted by 0.1%, the Office for National Statistics said, confounding analysts who expected to see slight growth. The government has made boosting economic growth a key priority, and Chancellor Rachel Reeves said the latest figure was disappointing. The fall in economic output was mainly driven by a drop in manufacturing, the ONS said, while retail sales were very weak. And a hosepipe ban is coming into force in Yorkshire as the third heat wave of the summer grips the country. And in the last few minutes, South East Water has also announced a hosepipe ban in Sussex. Despite Yorkshire Water saying it's cut leakage by 15% in recent years, bill payers say they're frustrated at the number of leaks which appear to go unchecked. The ban affects householders across much of Yorkshire, parts of North Lincolnshire and parts of Derbyshire. It prohibits the use of a hosepipe for activities such as watering the garden, washing the car, or filling a paddling pool. Anyone flouting the restriction could be fined up to £1,000. And those are the latest GB News headlines. For now, more news from me in half an hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Hello, good morning to you. Thank you for your company on Britain's Newsroom on GB News with me, Ben Leo, and Nana Akwe.
Otherwise known as Banana.
Banana.
Listen, lots of you have been getting in touch with your thoughts on your say. What have we got here? Ben, have you got anything?
I'll read one. Lynn, good morning, Lynn. You watched Yvette Cooper's interview this morning on GB News Breakfast. You've said Yvette Cooper saying they would ensure, the government, would ensure anybody given permission to enter the country would not be a sex offender. How would she know when they have no documents and then change their names? Gullible and ill thought out as usual. Well, I think the premise of the deal, if you want to call it that, is that the asylum seekers they would send to Britain are meant to be legitimate, they know who they are, so on and so on. But I guess your point does still stand, Lynn. How do they know their full background? They could just say they're asylum seekers from goodness knows where.
Well, Lucia said that, morning, Ben and Nana, I suspect that Starmer and Macron are collaborating to push the UK to fully rejoin the EU using a clever play on words. Macron's tactic of blaming Brexit for our mass immigration crisis is strategically planting the idea in people's minds that we should reverse it. Yes, I know. They keep trying, don't they? I don't know what they don't get. And actually, ironically, it's worse across the EU because in the Schengen zone where there are no borders, these people can come in and then go where the hell they like.
But you were lied to, Nana.
Oh.
You were too stupid to know what you were voting for.
Oh, I had no idea that I wanted to...
You were tricked by Vote Leave and Leave.eu and Nigel Farage.
It was the bus. It was the bus that got me. It was the bus that did it. As if.
If we just have another vote, just one more. Can we do it one more time? And I think you'll be bright enough to know that we should rejoin the EU.
And then I know loads of people who voted to leave, who changed their mind. Listen, I don't. I haven't changed my mind. Have you changed your mind?
You don't know how I voted.
Well, have you? No, but I don't need to know. Have you changed your mind?
No.
Exactly. The point I'm making is most people who voted whatever they voted haven't changed their mind. Yeah. Most people are still exactly where they were.
I mean, no guesses for knowing how I voted, but there we go. Right, should we move on?
The point is, it's impolite.
Oh, hello, Chopper.
Hello. But telling us how to vote is outrageous.
Yes.
None of his business.
It's an insult, isn't it? What does he think he's doing?
What did you make of... again, is it a minor point? But I was a little... My eyebrows raised at the fact Macron went into that press conference yesterday, also speaking French. People have told me, well, it's because French media were there, French television was there as well. But the King Charles, was speaking French to Macron at one of the royal households. And I just thought, hang on a minute, don't come here and conduct the press conference in French when your English is very, very good, and then stick it to Nigel Farage, mocking people taking pictures on the channel, and then having a crack at Brexit. I just kind of thought, you're in our country, just maybe have a bit more respect.
To be fair to him, he answered a question in English with English.
Yes.
But when a colleague in our UK media asked a question in French, he replied in French.
That was Peston, wasn't it?
Robert Peston from ITV.
Trying to be
even that was just... I was thinking, come on, Robert Peston.
He's just trying to be smart with that.
Yeah, well, and again, they wouldn't take questions from just 2 questions from the UK side and 2 from the French side. So we asked at GBNews, of course, for a question and weren't allowed one.
It does astonish me that public servants whom we pay for find they don't need to be accountable to us for a very thriving news channel, which we are, and we have many viewers.
Chopper, let's talk about the definition of Islamophobia.
Yes.
You've had Dominic Grieve, he's a Conservative.
Used to be, I think maybe he was certainly a Conservative minister. I forget where he ended up during the Brexit battles, but certainly was a Conservative Attorney General 2010 to 2014. He's appointed by the government to review a legal definition of Islamophobia. This is going to be one of the big rows of the autumn. He's spoken for the first time to a podcast we do here called Chopper's Political Podcast, when we raised also France and UK relations, but particularly at the end, we discussed Islamophobia and his review. And here's what he told us.
We will not introduce some blasphemy law to protect religion, whether it's Islam or anything else, by the back door, and nor will it have any impact on the recurrent laws in relation to freedom of expression under law. There is an issue surrounding freedom of expression as against the desire of many Muslims to have some kind of definition which provides a measure of a framework which may help protect them, because they're undoubtedly at the moment the victims of really unpleasant anti-Muslim hatred. You know, respectable lady travelling with a headscarf on the bus will get casual abuse. And this is driving a wedge in our society that is, in my view, very dangerous. We are there to operate within that framework, and some of the stuff I'm reading about this is just, excuse my saying it, garbage.
Garbage, says Dominic Grieve. Now, what he's talking about is there's a parliamentary definition by the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Islamophobia. They describe it as this: it's rooted in racism. So Islamophobia is this: it's rooted in racism, and it's a type of racism that targets expressions of Muslimness or perceived Muslimness. Now, critics say that could lead to a backdoor blasphemy law, including Kemi Badenoch. Here's what she told GB News yesterday.
I have been very clear. We don't need a new definition of Islamophobia. You look at the grooming gangs issue, lots of people were afraid of being labelled as Islamophobic, and they didn't report what was going on, they didn't try to fix what was going on, and look at all of those young girls who paid the price. We had a definition on anti-Muslim hatred that allowed us to have equality under the law. You can't attack people because of their religion or what they look like. But no religion should be free from criticism in this country.
Kemi Badenoch there, the Tory leader, talking to me yesterday for GB News. And earlier this morning, we asked the same question of Yvette Cooper. Her police officers will have to enforce any Islamophobia definition. Here's what she told us.
Do not have a blasphemy law in this country, and we must not ever. It's really important that we have freedom of religion in this country as well as freedom of speech. But it's also important that everybody, whoever you are, whatever your circumstances, abides by the law, and that the police are able to ensure that the law can be enforced.
There we have it, Yvette Cooper saying that the government believes in freedom of speech, but, Nana and Ben, there's risk here. When you start defining things in law, lawyers get involved, and it might chill down conversation, and we can't raise issues like the grooming gangs, which matter so much to us.
Yeah, well, that is a problem, isn't it? And then also, who determines the line where you've crossed to then be Islamophobic? Because everyone will have a different perspective. But what I want to know is, why was this such an important thing to be talking about? Why are we even talking about a definition for something that is already covered in law when there are so many other problems to deal with?
There's anti-hate laws, of course there are. There's anti-Semitism.
Why do we need one specifically targeting Islamophobia?
It was pushed by Labour under Jeremy Corbyn. Currently, it's the Deputy Prime Minister. She's a Community Secretary too, Angela Rayner. But it could be a bit of an issue in the autumn when it comes back with what Dominic Grieve says, because, of course, the Home Office will have to find it on their in tray to manage it when it's pushed on them by the Community Secretary. So there could be a bit of dispute.
We know why. I mean, the redefining the definition of Islamophobia was one of the 21 demands of the Muslim Vote group. Do you remember them from last year? Yeah. Who said that we have 21 demands of the Labour Party before we return our vote. We know why Labour are pushing this through, because there are many, many seats, especially up north, where their majority is wafer thin. Wes Streeting just managed to keep hold of his seat. Jess Phillips as well. Who else lost his seat? Labour. Jonathan Ashworth lost his seat to an independent. So we know why. They're bowing down to the Muslim vote.
I mean, they would dispute that, and they would say, well, people get abused for wearing coverings or headscarf on buses and the like, and they want to protect people. But the question is there already enough law to do that already?
Yeah, and also, by the way, talking about free speech, we do our best on this channel to promote what I believe we have in this country of free speech, but let's be honest, when you compare it to America, Britain does not have free speech.
Well, you know, but free speech within the parameters of the law, I don't think it's...
It's not free speech,
No, but that doesn't... You can't break the law just because it's free speech, and your words will have consequences. Right, let's speak to peer and former Labour MP Lord Walney, who joins us now. John, why did we specifically need to be focusing on a definition for Islamophobia? Why did the Labour Party do that?
Well, I think what a number of people in those clips have said, pointing to the level of abuse that Muslims can face going about their daily lives in the UK, and the fact that that has risen considerably in recent years, is real and it needs to be tackled. But you ask about a definition of Islamophobia, and the words and the terminology here are really important. And one of the battles that's going on behind the scenes and actually in full view sometimes in the government at the moment is whether we call this tackling anti-Muslim hatred, which in my mind is what we need to be doing, because it looks at the discrimination and hatred that people, Muslims, experience because of who they are. That's not acceptable. Or are we talking about Islamophobia, which many of us are concerned will actually put a level of protection from criticism of the religion of Islam, which, you know, the government can say all it likes, that's not what they want to do, and I take them at their word. But if that is the case, they need to be clear about what they're dealing with, and they need to call this measures to tackle anti-Muslim hatred, not Islamophobia.
You see, that's a really good point you make, because then it will be, you can't say anything negative about Islam, which then you might find you're being Islamophobic, when actually you're just using your right to freedom of speech to criticise it, and that would be a problem. I just find it... we have hate laws, though. Why can't it just be covered with the hate laws? Why does it have to be specifically? I don't get it.
Well, I understand. I understand the views, the concern that Muslims, that they feel they often do feel persecuted in communities. And actually, you could look at this and say that if we are, as I believe we must, move to a new kind of more honest conversation about where the problems do exist in our communities, and where there has been the disproportionate preponderance of men of Pakistani heritage within grooming and rape gangs. The issue that where sometimes the teachings of Islam, when they are followed rigidly, can run up really hard against our modern liberal values, and that presents a challenge. If we're going to move to a conversation about that, then we should also make sure that we protect Muslims just going about their lives from the kind of discrimination that they can face. So I do accept that there is an issue that we need to deal with, but how we do this is hugely important, both for the issue itself, but also, I have to say, electorally for the Labour Party, because, you know, say to my friends, it will be absolutely toxic if this can be twisted by people to say that you are basically doing what was suggested before, that you're doing this because you have Muslim voters in particular areas, or particularly you're running scared of a particular group. We cannot govern on that basis, and there's an opportunity now to take a measured approach to this, as I think Dominic gave a good attempt at setting out in his podcast with Chopper, to actually do this properly and not tie ourselves in a knot.
All right, Lord Walney, thank you very much. I don't see how we can't tie ourselves in not to do that. I think a lot of people who make criticisms of Islam will find themselves being told that they're Islamophobic. So, for example, if I said to you, I don't particularly think the burqa is a very sensible outfit, because especially in really hot weather,
Straight to the gulag for you,
am
Nana.
I being Islamophobic, or am I just looking at it and saying it's 30 degrees out there? Why are you wearing something covering your entire body and it's black, which absorbs the heat? You know, what's that? Is that Islamophobic, or is it just?
This whole Islamophobia. Islamophobia. I mean, it means an irrational fear or something. I don't think anybody has an irrational fear of Islam. People get bullied. People get discriminated against and abused all the time. You know, I got bullied at school for stuff. I'm sure you got bullied.
I
at school
did as well. Oh my God! I was the only black one there. But they learned not to mess with me.
Why do we need laws?
They learned not to mess with me. Listen, stay with us still to come. How do you feel about French President blaming Brexit for the small boat crisis? Ooh la la, Macron.
You're with Britain's Newsroom on GBNews.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Well, in the past few minutes, Meghan Markle has paid a sweet tribute to Princess Lilibet as she turns 4 today. It comes just a day after the Duchess of Sussex said she'd love to go into business with her daughter in the future.
Well, that's all it is, another money-making effort there. That's to make up for nobody buying her jam. I mean, do you really care if you see a picture of her kid or not? You do, that's it.
I'd like to see her face, to be honest.
I don't. Now, back to Diana, of course, who was a real star and style icon and whatever. And one day, I can remember, I complimented her on her outfit that she was wearing, and it was the same colour as the outfit you were wearing yesterday.
Bottle green?
No. RUC green, Royal Ulster Constabulary green. As she pointed out to me, she said, yes, RUC green, what do you think? And then she went into a whole, literally, sob story. She started crying about a bomb explosion that had been in Northern Ireland or whatever. She was very, very close, very connected with all of that. But, yeah, so...
And knowledgeable as well, by the sound of things,
She was very knowledgeable, yeah. And then she went on to talk about William and Harry going to school and how that upset her, and they went to boarding school or whatever it is. So we talked about all those things. And I forgot why I was going to tell you that story, but there was some reason. But she was... it was the same colour as what you were wearing yesterday, anyway, the green.
Oh, and she was so lovely by the sounds of things.
She was film star status. I mean, you just saw her in a room and you would go...
Wow.
She's special, yeah, she's special.
And I think whoever that was speaking in that report there saying, one of the designers, I think it was the designer of the wedding dress, saying it was just clothes or just a dress, but then Diana wore it and then it was something special. And it became part of history. And that's exactly what happened.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays, I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back to Britain's Newsroom. 10:26, you're with Ben Leo and Nana Equir, and here we are in our fancy costumes as the new superhero, or Superman movie rather, is out today, and it's being dubbed Super Woke.
Banana.
There we are. I look all right. They've been pretty generous with my jawline and my neck and hair. I'll take it. I mean...
Well, I just look normal in that. That just looks like me.
Yeah, I like that.
Right.
Speaking of super woke, we're joined by former Labour Minister Bill Rammell.
Hello.
I've never been described as super woke, thank you.
Well, there we are. You have today. And former political advisor Charlie Rowley, who's meant to be a Conservative, but I'd argue he's probably quite woke as well.
He's a bit of a liberal, isn't he?
There we go.
All
Welcome
right.
along.
Well, look, we talked about Islamophobia, so we might as well start with that. And Angela Rayner, she seems to be backing down on secretive plans for a new definition of it. I'll start with you, Bill Rammell.
I'm not convinced the criticism about secretiveness is accurate, but I have to say on the definition of Islamophobia, I'm a sceptic. You know, we've already got really serious problems about non-crime hate incidents, criminalising things which shouldn't be criminalised. And I formed a view when I was a government minister that the only effective, enforceable dividing line in terms of what you can say and what you can do and what you can't say and do is violence and advocacy of violence. And I think this is problematic. And, you know, I hope... I mean, I was reassured listening to Dominic Grieve that it's not going to be a backdoor route to a blasphemy law, that it is going to uphold free speech, but I think it's problematic.
All right, Charlie Rowley.
Well, it can go one of two ways, because if you start expanding the consultation process, you'll either get a lot more people with their own view about what Islamophobia could be, and therefore you end up with a blasphemy law through the back door where you can't say anything, or there are too many opinions about the definition and then it gets dropped altogether. I hope it gets dropped altogether because you've just got to look at, I think, was it a teacher in Batley that got driven out of his own school because he put up a picture of the Prophet Muhammad? You know, that was seen as an insult by a particular community that were outside that school protesting no end. And that's an innocent teacher doing something that he wasn't quite aware of, perhaps, but and still in hiding.
Just to add, there was a teacher in France who was beheaded by one student or perhaps a mob of students when he was falsely accused of doing something similar. You know, offending the Prophet Muhammad, whatever. Anyway, he was beheaded. He lost his life, you know. So this is what we're dealing with.
Exactly. So I think that, you know, this is a really serious thing. And I think, look, you know, and we were talking outside, Bill, and you know, the question is, do we not have the laws already in place?
Exactly.
You know, why are we sort of protecting a particular group over another? You know, hate crime is hate crime. You know, racism is racism. You know, that should apply to everybody equally. It's just another case, maybe, of saying that we live in a two-tier Britain.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, let's talk about Starmer and Macron. They plead for patience in an impatient world. What's that all about? Because it's obviously dealing with the small boats.
I think it's a good deal. It's the kind of deal that successive governments have been seeking in terms of getting effective returns to France and the EU.
One in, one out is a good deal.
Yeah, I think it is a good deal.
Can I just ask you, Bill, are you aware of roughly how many people a week will be sent back?
Well, there's speculation based on an article in Le Monde that it's 50 initially, but it would then be scaled up, and they're going to test the efficacy of it in the initial phase.
Do you know what percentage that is roughly?
At 6%, which is about six times as much.
94%. 94%. You hear these numbers. 94% of people who come here via small boat will probably not have any, will not see any of this.
And it's a pilot intended very rapidly to be scaled up. Really,
sounds a bit like Rwanda, doesn't it? You're all against that.
Rwanda only dealt with 1% of people.
Well,
originally.
it was with the potential to be scaled up.
OK, but hold on. This is actually a proposition that Robert Jenrick put in writing to Rishi Sunak before his first meeting with President Macron when he was Prime Minister. And it's interesting that Robert Jenrick, who's normally all over the airways, hasn't said anything about this. Well, I think it can provide...
But it depends how it's done. So he may have put it to them. If it's done one in, one out... Yeah, but if it's done like that, where as soon as they land in the UK, they get sent back, that's fine. Yeah. But if it's one where they land in the UK, they're going to be sent back, and then they can use the UK to fund all legal appeals... Then we're back where we started.
Well, and the Home Office believes that this is legally robust and sustainable against legal challenge. Because where would you be sent back to?
Why should they be allowed a legal channel?
You'd be sent back to France.
Robert Jenrick has just tweeted 7 minutes ago. He said, Starmer is trying to con the British public that he cares about securing our borders. Unless this scheme involves deporting all arrivals, it will clearly fail. Yet his Home Secretary can't even say 50 migrants a week will be deported. Charlie.
Well, it's an absolute joke, isn't it? I mean, one in, one out. You know, what kind of planet they're living on? People want to see the numbers come down. They don't want one in, one out, one for like for like. You know,
What kind of headline is that?
But it's to deter people from the boat crossings, and I get that. But if it's 1 in, 1 out, only 50 of them, and you get legal appeals if you are one of the 50, then how is it any different to anything else?
Well, then we see exactly the whole backlog in the court process balloon even more. Judges that have made terrible decisions already when we should have deported people that have been allowed to stay. There'll be the same judges, no doubt, that sort of rule in favour of people that shouldn't be here in the UK. We've paid, 717 million to the French already, and they haven't done anything to stop the boats. The idea that if you send somebody back to France, that they're going to be able to block them or stop them trying to come into the UK again, I think is for the birds. We don't even know if this deal is going to work, because the French have got to, I'm sure, get it signed off by another 27 other people in the EU. But if they, the idea that this guy is coming over to help us, having talked down the UK since Brexit,
and spoken in French for a large part of the...
And by the way, I voted Remain in 2016.
Oh, really?
And I'm happy to say that I would have changed
your
mind. Of course.
You'd vote Leave now?
I would. And to be fair, I think if we remained nearly 10 years ago, and we still had the problems that we sort of had with the EU, I think most people would have voted Leave a second time round. I think it probably would have been about 90.
And that's presumably why, if you look at the polls, by 55 to 31%, people regret Brexit.
That's not true. You don't know.
Bill,
but listen, you've literally got somebody here telling you that they've changed their mind and that from Remain to Leave, and you're now talking about some polls that are somewhere else. I haven't changed my mind. I voted to Leave. He hasn't changed his mind.
Of a representative sample of people, so
yeah,
by
depends.
55 to 31.
I don't like
not in the circles you move in, Nana, but amongst
the circle. You don't know what circles. You don't know what circles. You don't know.
I'm a reputable political.
You don't know what circles I'm moving in. You don't know what circles I'm moving. I move in normal circles just like everybody else. Right, stay with us. It's time for your 60-second update with Tatiana Sanchez.
Nana, thank you very much. The headlines at 10:30. The Home Secretary says the new 1 in, 1 out migrant scheme agreed with France is robust enough to withstand potential legal challenges. The government is urging GPs to issue fewer sick notes and instead direct patients towards gyms and support services to help more people return to work. The UK economy shrank unexpectedly in May, contracting for the second month in a row, the Office for National Statistics saying the economy contracted by 0.1%. A hosepipe ban is coming into force in Yorkshire and in Sussex as the third heat wave of the summer grips the country. And US R&B star Chris Brown has arrived in court this morning for the second plea hearing over an alleged bottle attack at a nightclub in London in 2023. Last month, the 36-year-old pleaded not guilty to attempting to cause grievous bodily harm with intent. And those are the latest headlines for now. More news at the top of the hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Up next, 11 million, I repeat, 11 million people are signed off sick from work last year. Find out about the government's crackdown on Sick Note Britain.
This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It is already very warm out there today, and it's going to get hotter. Increasingly sunny skies widely across the UK, and temperatures by the afternoon into the 30s in many places. But we do start the day with some mist and low cloud across the far northwest of Scotland. A few spots of drizzle here, some low cloud also for the Irish Sea and some surrounding coasts. Much of this will retreat to the immediate coastline through the morning, and by the afternoon, for much of the UK, it's barely a cloud in the sky, and temperatures responding very well, not just in the south, but widely across the UK, temperatures exceeding the mid-20s and in some spots up to 31 or even 32 Celsius. It's going to still feel very warm as we end the day across much of Scotland. We've just got that patchy low cloud affecting Shetland and perhaps some coasts of the Outer Hebrides, but otherwise inland, widespread sunny skies as we go into the evening, and temperatures at this stage still at 25, 26 Celsius. Likewise for Northern Ireland, we do have some mistiness around eastern coasts, and some of that mistiness may stray onto the coast of West Wales, but otherwise it's simply a clear night to come, and after that hot day, temperatures aren't going to fall very far at all. Despite the clear skies, despite the light winds, we will see some low cloud and some mist in the North Sea become a little more extensive across eastern coasts of the UK by dawn. And we're going to start the day with temperatures of 16 to 18 Celsius, so an uncomfortable night for sleeping for many of us. And after that warm start, expected to get even hotter. Saturday in many areas likely to be the hottest day of the year so far. Not in the southeast. We've got more of an east to southeasterly wind here, keeping things cooler for the east and southeast coast. But elsewhere, temperatures widely exceeding 30 Celsius, and in one or two spots, perhaps the southwest Midlands, the West Country, 32 or 33 degrees.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Road users on the M4 eastbound between Junction 30 Cardiff Gate and Junction 32 Corryton face a closure due to maintenance, with diversions in place. Further north, drivers on the A19 between the A1056 and A189 encounter lane closures due to a collision, with expected 50-minute delays. On the A27 westbound between A280 and A284 Arundel East, expect an extra 10 minutes of travel time. And on the trains, cross-country services are disrupted between Taunton and Bristol Temple Meads. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. If you just tuned in, it's 10:38 on GB News. This is Britain's Newsroom with me, Nana Akweer, and Ben Lear.
Hello, good morning to you. Thank you for your company. Apparently, Nana, a hosepipe ban is affecting more than 5 million people, and it's in effect from today.
Well, what happened to all the water? We had loads of water. We had torrential rain. I think last month was the highest rainfall ever for a decade in that month or the month before. Now, Yorkshire is actually the first place to enforce a ban this year, with Yorkshire Water saying that the region had experienced its driest and warmest spring on record.
GB News reporter Steve Bennett joins us now from a pretty balmy Yorkshire. Steve, what's the latest?
Good morning to you both. Good morning, everyone. Speaking about where the water is, let me step out the way. This is Batings Reservoir. There is no water. Normally, the water level is 50 foot higher. I'd be drowning in it currently, but as you can see, there is none. Hence why there is a hosepipe ban currently in force, the first one of 2025. It affects not just West Yorkshire, but parts of Lincolnshire and Derbyshire as well. People are being advised and being told, in fact, don't use your hose pipes, don't fill your baths, don't clean your cars, recycle water if you can, use grey water, rainwater, help everybody out until this reservoir replenishes. Now, I have spoken to some of the locals today, and incredibly, they say it only takes 3-4 months before this is back to above my head, because all the rainwater comes off the hillside here in Yorkshire and refills this reservoir. I spoke to some of the locals yesterday, and here's what they had to say about what's going on.
It's not very much water, and it's like this sometimes, but it's been a long while since it was last like this.
I think it's terrible, but it's inevitable.
But when we get the weather, the rain, there's nothing done with it. As you can see, it's gone.
So what it has done is it has allowed the opportunity for folks to come down to this reservoir, and they're walking around, they're cycling around, they're jogging around, and it's revealed lots of I'll just step out the way again, lots of the old bridge work, and apparently there used to be a village built once upon a time here, so it has offered that opportunity. But of course the key headlines is there is no water currently. Everyone is encouraged to save that water. If you flaunt the rules, you're looking at a £1,000 fine, so you certainly want to stay away from that. There are exemptions, so get yourself to the Yorkshire Water website to find out who's exempt, how you're exempt, and exactly what rules you have to follow. So let me just step out the way for a third time from a very dry Batings Reservoir. That is the update. Not a lot of water in Yorkshire currently.
Wow, Steve, thank you very much. Yeah, a great illustration of just how things are up in Yorkshire. The hosepipe bans, though, Nana. I mean, we're an island surrounded by water. I know there's a different process to rainwater and seawater, but surely we could get our thinking caps on and I don't know.
Some sort of desalination plants using the sea as well. You'd think we could do that, but apparently that's probably too expensive. And why would they do that anyway? I think a lot of this as well, the infrastructure, I think we get a lot of leaks as well. So you go and there'll be a water pipe burst and they're not really bothered about the loss of that water. And I'm not sure how good are those reservoirs at collecting it as well. It seems that we are in this position all the time. Every summer, there's a hosepipe ban somewhere, even when there's loads of rainfall.
Yeah, but global warming, Nana. Things are getting hotter.
You know what? There's good things about global warming. In fact, more people die of cold than heat. So if you're going to choose, I'd rather the place got hotter than colder.
Well, I got a nice tan the past couple of days, so that's one benefit of global warming.
I'll say me too as well. Yeah. Can you tell?
Right, thank you for reviews. GBNews.com/You'll Say. Somebody has said, Nana, do you remember a bit earlier in the show I was pretending to be a Remain voter and saying you were a bit stupid for voting Brexit, you didn't know what you were voting for. Anyway, one of you, a viewer, has taken it to heart and said, it made me laugh, can someone stop Ben Leo spouting his Remainer views on rejoining the EU? He is a disgrace and should not be allowed to use his position to call for a new vote. His views are his own and should remain so. He should remain neutral and not push his agenda. He is young and inexperienced. Stop him or remove him.
Who's that from?
I won't name them.
Really? Is it her?
Yeah. I won't name them.
Oh, is it really? Listen,
I was just joking. I was just having a bit of a laugh.
He was joking. We were being ironic. We were just basically spouting the insipid insults that are given to any of us who decided to vote to leave the EU and this nonsense that we had to put up with. So we were being sarcastic, but in doing so, we were also providing balance, which is useful.
Good point.
But look, I hear you. I have not changed my mind. I'm happy I voted Leave, and I'd vote Leave 3 times if I could again. Very, very briefly, this one from a member. It says, Banana, can you do us a favour? I know there's some British people swinging the lead claiming benefits, but exactly how many people who have come here, foreigners, she said, in the last 30 years, in 5 minutes, are now claiming all the benefits? We already know that universal credit is costing us $1 billion every month at $12 billion a year. That's without the ones in hotels, legal aid, private accommodation. We could be spending up to $20 billion every year for this crisis. See, this is the problem, isn't it?
Crazy figures.
We are tackling the benefit fraud or looking at people on benefits, but yet we are just chucking benefits to people who come here on dinghies, putting them in hotels and whatnot. I find that just absolutely irritating.
Strange thinking. Right, if you're in search of some holiday sun, I keep saying you probably don't need it right now, you can stay in Blighty, but if you are keen to get away, here's the forecast for some top European destinations.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Whilst the UK will experience Mediterranean-like temperatures on Saturday, it's not going to be quite as hot through the Mediterranean as it has been recently. For the Canaries and for Madeira, fairly typical conditions for the time of year. Breezy, partly cloudy, otherwise fine. But we've got this area of thunderstorms developing across northern Spain, the Pyrenees, Andorra, southern France. They could be quite lively. And for Italy, for Greece, sunny spells, not quite as hot, but it is going to heat up into next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
The 12th, a day to celebrate history, community and family here in Northern Ireland. Join me, Arlene Foster.
And me, Dougie Beattie, as we bring you live coverage of the July 12th celebrations.
Right across the United Kingdom. It's all happening here on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom on GB News. Now, the government is urging GPs to issue fewer sick notes and instead direct patients towards gyms and support services to help more people return to work.
All of this sort of comes as the number of NHS fit notes hit 11 million last year, more than double the figure in 2015.
Joining us now is the former Liberal Democrat MP Mark Oaten and the writer Jean Hatchett. Good morning to you both. Thank you for your company. Mark, I'll start with you. 11 million people signed off sick last year. I guess the question begs, do you believe all 11 million of those people were actually sick, or do you think there's some playing the game going on?
There's got to be playing the game. And I mean, it's an astonishing figure. And if you think it's 11 million sick notes, just imagine what that equates to in actual days lost in work. Say one of those sick notes on average is 5 days. We're talking about 55 million working days lost. Now, as somebody that employs people, I want that stopped. The question I've got is sending people to the gym the right solution? I'm not sure that my other staff who are working are going to feel so good when they see that somebody who is sick is actually being sent to the gym. So I'm not sure this is the right policy. If it is going to be put in place, there need to be some very tough measures to make sure they actually do go to the gym and we see positive results to get them off those sick notes.
Well, I think the point is that they won't be prescribed the sick note because it seems so easy and the GPs just want to sort of get them off their hands. Perhaps if there was some sort of scheme where GPs, there was some sort of incentive towards GPs to not do that, then they may well get with the programme. Jean, what are your thoughts on this?
I've got a number of thoughts on this. I mean, you know, partly is who have Labour become? Because, you know, Labour used to be the party of the working class and they used to care about the most vulnerable. All they can seem to do to counter their economic incompetence at the moment is target the ill and target the most vulnerable. And I'm just finding that astonishing. Now, what your other guest there said is, as an employer, he would find this difficult to stomach such an increase. Well, I do think this is a workplace issue, not a health service issue. You know, if people need support within employment, then that should come. You know, if you want to fund better health, you want to encourage people into your workplace, then, you know, that's where those efforts should focus. So that's perhaps where encouraging people to look after themselves better should come from the management of government and a health service. A GP decides whether you're ill or not your employer.
Well, no, but the GP would determine rather than the employer. But the GP wouldn't just give you a sick note and sign you off. You have to admit that 11 million, what is the population, 68 million or something like that? It's about, you know, that's quite a large percentage of people out of an entire population. Are you happy to carry on paying for this, Jean?
Well, I don't think that's, it's not an either or, is it? I mean, we've got
the point Mark was making was that so they can't all be sick.
You're asking me, can they not? Because
no, I don't think they can.
But a GP has established that person is ill. Now, can I just say that what this also impacts on is women, because women's health conditions are regularly misdiagnosed. My own condition was, I've got cancer, I continue to live with cancer. And for me, I know that staying healthy, going to the gym, I've been to the gym this morning, which is why I'm hot. I know that that's essential, but I wouldn't force others to accept that. That's for them to choose. And people within the workplace, and I know I did this, will actually hide their health conditions. They will have workplace monitoring, so they don't want to go and sign off sick. I think this is, this pitting people against, or this suspicion of people and their illnesses. I think it's really, really unhealthy to
Jean,
people.
It's a matter of fairness, Jean. There's obviously genuine cases such as yourself and many other people. The problem is that those that are trying the system on harm those that have genuine cases. I want to see a fair system, and it cannot be fair that people who look after themselves, people like me who pay my gym membership, my staff who work really hard, suddenly then see somebody who they know is trying it on almost getting rewarded with free PT sessions and free gym sessions. That isn't fair, and we have to tackle fairness in society, because otherwise it will create huge resentment.
Jean, can I ask you just finally, sorry to interrupt, just finally, you've mentioned you've been to the gym this morning. One of these recommendations from coming out this morning is that people will be referred to the gym to try and maybe alleviate some health concerns, or even indeed mental health concerns. Can you sympathise with that? I mean, as a gym goer, do you agree that going to the gym, being active, being fit and healthy is good for both your mental state and your physical state?
100%. And I absolutely know, and my oncologist has said, one of the reasons I'm here is because I stayed fit and healthy. I didn't smoke. So yes, I absolutely understand that. But that's not the place of a GP to say you must work and I'll also send you to the gym. Encouraging a population to become more healthy, 100%. Smashing the ill, not okay.
All right. Well, listen, I don't think they're smashing the ill. I think what they're doing is prescribing exercise, which, as you well know, cancer has about a 50% less chance of returning if you are fit and healthy and exercise. Exercise is a big key. And also mental health. Why would you want to ruminate on your own? Surely you're better off working. Thank you very much, Jean Hatchett and also Mark Oaten, who join us with their views.
Thank you both. Still ahead, we'll fill you in on the Lib Dem-run council who champions their environmentally friendly plant-based menu for kids, but it turns out they were importing some of their fruit hundreds and thousands of miles. Of course they were. Here's your weather.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hi there, and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's going to be a hot one today for many of us, with sunny skies widely across the UK. A little bit cooler on the east coast, a few mist patches. With high pressure sitting in the North Sea, we've got an east to southeasterly airflow across the country. That's why the heat is more distributed towards the west and the north of the country, but actually, for the vast majority, it's simply a sunny day, and it will continue to be so. One or two mist patches lurking off the coast of Northern Ireland, eastern Scotland, eastern England, but these really will be restricted to just a few coastal areas. Inland, it's clear blue skies and rising temperatures, widely the mid to high 20s. And for much of England and East Wales, we're talking about the low 30s. And we end the day pretty warm across Scotland. Again, a few mist patches here and there around coastal parts, but inland, plenty of sunshine as we head into the evening. And even at this stage, Glasgow still 27 Celsius. Northern Ireland still temperatures hovering around the mid-20s, and 31, 32 Celsius even at 6 p.m. across some parts of the West Midlands, central southern England, East Wales. That, of course, will lead on to a very warm night in many spots, with temperatures in the west particularly high. In fact, some western hills and coasts could see temperatures stay at 20, 21 Celsius through the night. In the east, we will see some mist and low cloud creep into coastal parts. This will be patchy again, but it will be around first thing Saturday. So actually a cloudier start for the North Sea coast, and we've got that onshore breeze. So eastern coasts of England and Scotland will be kept cooler through Saturday, but elsewhere across the UK, it's perhaps the peak of the heat, with temperatures reaching 33 or 34 Celsius in the West Midlands and East Wales.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
We're kick-starting summer with your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons,
Very, very curious.
we bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Who is he? What's he doing there?
They already know who you are, though.
Don't miss this special reunion, Eamon and Anne together again, only on GB News Breakfast this weekend from 6 a.m.
And is that a gardening tan?
No, it's a Cyprus tan.
Very good morning to you. It's 11 o'clock on Friday, 11th of July. Live across the UK, this is Britain's Newsroom with Ben Leo and Nana Aquir.
Yes, good morning to you. One in, one out is already in doubt.
Brexit Britain. We voted to take back control of our borders, not to accept a deal given to us by a French president.
A furious Nigel Farage as French President Emmanuel Macron blames Brexit lies for Britain's immigrant crisis. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister hails his new migrant deal as groundbreaking. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper spoke to GB News earlier.
We need a combination of the returns that we've talked about alongside the 30,000 we have returned since the election to countries all over the world, and also the stronger law enforcement and also the action within French waters.
No crackdown. GPs are told to stop signing people off from work and instead send patients to job coaches or the gym. And get this, 11 million people were on the sick in Britain last year.
Defining Islamophobia after huge concerns about a blasphemy law by the back door and limitations on free speech. The man behind its definition, Dominic Grieve, spoke exclusively on Chopper's political podcast.
We will not introduce some blasphemy law to protect religion, whether it's Islam or anything else, by the back door, and nor will it have any impact on the current laws in relation to freedom of expression.
There's not very much water, and it's like this sometimes, but it's been a long while since it was last like this.
I think it's terrible, but it's inevitable.
But when we get the weather, the rain, there's nothing done with it. As you can see, it's gone.
Yes, the first hosepipe ban of the year comes into force in Yorkshire. £1,000 fines are being threatened as temperatures are set to reach a balmy 32 degrees today.
Your actions. That's what makes you who you are.
Superman or super woke? There are mixed reviews of the new superhero movie, as some critics are up in arms that it has pro-immigrant themes.
Oh, there we go. Superman, Superwoman.
Banana. That's us.
In tribute of the new Superman movie coming out today, of course. I'm looking fit and healthy there, Nana, but I've got a bit of a dodgy tummy at the moment. I think I need to go off sick. Can you sign me off?
Oh, I will do. And I suppose you've probably got some mental health issues as well.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit anxious, a little bit under pressure. Can you sign me off?
I might as well. I mean, it's better
Have a few weeks off.
Honestly, seriously. 11 million, so the population's around about 68 million.
Crazy numbers.
11% isn't it, of that number? I find that absolutely... No, it's not 11%. I've totally gone mad there. It's a sixth of the population, which seems like a bit much, really, and we're all paying for this. I think it's really good that GPs should be signing people off in terms of going to work or going to the gym or, you know, whatever. I think that's better.
I don't want to sound preachy, but I think the gym is, and just exercise in general, is thoroughly underrated. If I'm feeling a bit under pressure or a bit tired, I'll go for a walk, maybe an hour walk or something, and you just feel so much better. You get the endorphins going, you get outside.
I'll go for a swim.
I know it's not possible for lots of people if you've got ailments or you're disabled or whatever, but I mean, if you can do it, I'd encourage it.
Well, a lot of the people on the sick are claiming mental health, so anxiety. Last thing you want to be doing is sitting at home ruminating. Surely you want to get out and talk to people and get your mind off things.
Yeah, indeed. Let us know what you think about that. gbnews.com/you'll say. First, though, let's get your news headlines with Tatiana Sanchez.
Ben Nana, thank you very much. The top stories. The Home Secretary says the new one-in, one-out migrant scheme agreed with France is robust enough to withstand potential legal challenges. Sir Keir Starmer secured the deal in the latest effort to reduce small boats crossing the English Channel. The scheme still needs the approval of the European Commission, and French President Macron took direct aim at Brexit yesterday, blaming it for the small boats crisis. Yvette Cooper says the migrants crossing the Channel will be detained as part of the deal with France.
The whole purpose of what we're doing is to bring down these dangerous boat crossings because we think no one should be making those boat crossings. What we did say, what the Prime Minister said yesterday, is there's no single silver bullet, whether it's about this new returns agreement, which frankly I think is the right thing to do, or any of the other measures that we're talking about. We've seen 6 years of people claiming that one single thing, particularly the previous government claiming one single thing, or opposition parties claiming one single thing, is going to solve it. What we need is a comprehensive approach that looks across the board.
Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp said the UK's migrant returns deal with the France is a gimmick, which will be no deterrent whatsoever.
I'm afraid this deal is another hopeless gimmick, just like Keir Starmer's pathetic claim a year ago to be smashing the gangs, which has dismally failed because record numbers of illegal immigrants so far this year have crossed the Channel, record ever numbers. This is another gimmick, just like the smash the gangs claim. And the reason for that is that only 50 illegal immigrants per week are going to get sent back to France. And that amounts to only 6% of the illegal arrivals. Now, that means that 94% of illegal arrivals are going to be allowed to stay in the UK.
The former Conservative Attorney General in charge of drawing up the first ever legal definition of Islamophobia has spoken out about his plans for the very first time in Chopper's political podcast. Here's some of what Dominic Grieve had to say.
We will not introduce some blasphemy law to protect religion, whether it's Islam or anything else, by the back door, and nor will it have any impact on the recurrent laws in relation to freedom of expression under law. There is an issue surrounding freedom of expression as against the desire of many Muslims to have some kind of definition which provides a measure of a framework which may help protect them, because they're undoubtedly at the moment the victims of really unpleasant anti-Muslim hatred. You know, respectable lady travelling with a headscarf on the bus will get casual abuse. And this is driving a wedge in our society that is, in my view, very dangerous.
And you can watch and listen to the full interview with Dominic Grieve on this week's episode of Chopper's Political Podcast on gbnews.com and all podcast platforms. Elsewhere, the government is urging GPs to issue fewer sick notes and instead direct patients towards gyms and support services to help more people to return to work. Under the new pilot programme being trialled across 15 locations, GPs will be given money to employ dedicated teams to help people to find a job. It comes as the number of NHS fit notes hit 11 million last year, more than double the figure in 2015. The Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, says the UK's economy could no longer afford to keep writing people off. Elsewhere, the UK economy shrank unexpectedly in May, contracting for the second month in a row. The economy contracted by 0.1%, the Office for National Statistics said, confounding analysts who expected to see slight growth. The government has made boosting economic growth a key priority, and Chancellor Rachel Reeves said the latest figure was disappointing. The ONS says the fall in economic output was mainly driven by a drop in manufacturing, while retail sales were very weak. A hosepipe ban is coming into force in Yorkshire and also in Sussex as the third heatwave of the summer grips the country. Despite Yorkshire Water saying it's cut leakage by 15% in recent years, bill payers say they're frustrated at the number of leaks which appear to go unchecked. South East Water said record-breaking demand for drinking water has put significant pressure on supplies. The ban prohibits the use of a hosepipe for activities such as watering the garden, washing the car, or filling a paddling pool. Anyone flouting the restriction could be fined up to £1,000. And that all comes as health alerts for heat have been upgraded to amber for large parts of England by the UK Health Security Agency. And R&B singer Chris Brown has pleaded not guilty to a lesser assault charge following an alleged bottle attack at a London nightclub. The 36-year-old denied causing actual bodily harm on Abraham Diao in a hearing at Southwark Crown Court today. The US musician last month pleaded not guilty to a more serious charge of attempting to cause grievous bodily harm with intent to the same man. The incident allegedly happened at the Tape nightclub, a private members club in Mayfair, in 2023. The plea hearing is part of preparations for his trial, which is due to take place in October. And those are the latest GB News headlines. For now, more news in half an hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
My Claim Group sponsors the GB News Finance Report.
And here's a quick snapshot of today's markets. The pound will buy you $1.3543 and €1.1588. The price sold is £2,462.93 per ounce, and the FTSE 100 is at 8,931 points.
My Claim Group sponsors the GB News Finance Report.
Good morning, 11:10. You're with Britain's Newsroom on GB News with Ben Leo and Nana Akweer.
Well, good morning to you. Of course, now lots of you have been getting in touch with your views on many of the topics that we've been discussing. Let's talk about the boats. This is from John. The department that I run says that this is actually about the benefits. He said, the department that I run, you always get the odd couple that played the system. It's not fair on the rest of the workers when they don't turn up for work, and it takes years to follow the legal processes to get rid of them, and Labour has just made it even harder.
Debbie, good morning. You've messaged me on Instagram. You said, "Hi Ben, I want to address the GP prescribing gym passes, which is part of the scheme. GPs are recommending those who are sick maybe go to the gym, do some exercise. I have osteoporosis and heart disease. I was given a gym pass by my GP. It was free for 12 weeks. I'd never set foot in a gym before, and I'm 54. I went and I found that I loved it. I'm limited to what I can do because of my health issues, so I'll never look like a Love Islander. But the movement from the rehab machines helps with my condition. I also feel much better mentally. My 12 weeks has run out now, and I've joined as a full member. It's the best medication."
Exactly.
Oh, well done for you, Debbie. Thank you.
Well done, Debbie. And osteoporosis, obviously, is porous bones, so that your bones are kind of weak because they're hollow on the inside. So, you know, trying to build bone density, you do that through exercise and resistance work, and so that is... It's good. Obviously, you have to be careful. You can't go overboard with it because your bones are weak right now. But good. Good. Josh says this, we are enabling such bad behaviour. Alcoholics and drug abusers are given so much in terms of health care in this country. They refuse care or just entitled. Anyone coming in for mental health or drug and alcohol abuse that refuse certain care should be told to get out the hospital. The last bit was a bit...
Anne, you've said, "Good morning, Anne. Good morning, Nana and Ben. I was brought up in the 50s with morals and values. My parents taught me work ethic. I started work at 12 in my dad's shop. I couldn't wait to work and earn my money. If you're genuinely sick, then the doctor should sign you off and proceed for treatment. Should the doctor find that you are lying, then hop it. No benefits whatsoever. Go and clean the streets. There's plenty to do." Hop it.
Yeah, you see, this is the thing. I don't think we should be just giving people an off-sick benefit like that so quickly either. And I also think there should be stipulations. So if you are not a signed-up citizen of this country, then you have to work a certain amount of time or have been here for a minimum period of time before you can actually claim any benefits anyway. Most countries wouldn't just give you what you need like that.
Makes sense.
Somehow we do. What about this one? And this is on Islamophobia. Young Art says, people who are defining Islamophobia should read the Satanic Verses by Salman Rushdie. Just my opinion. And then Dawn on the hosepipe ban says, I've just bought 4 hosepipes before they ban them. I'm not being caught out. And Ben, do you remember that critic of you who thought that you were being serious?
I'm sure there's many.
Well, Maria says, Ben, you are awesome. Don't let a meaningless comment ever get to you. But hey, she's still eating GB News and the best programme ever.
Oh, thanks, Mum. Thanks, Maria. Appreciate you. Very kind of you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so lots of people being in touch.
Lovely. Thank you for that. Let's move on, shall we? Because the Prime Minister has secured a one-in, one-out migrant deal with France in the latest effort to reduce small boat crossings.
The scheme will still need the approval of the European Commission and President Macron, so that means all the other 27 or all 27 member states need to commit to it. And President Macron took direct aim at Brexit yesterday. He blamed Brexit lies for the small boat crisis.
And Home Secretary Yvette Cooper, I think she made her GB News debut or live debut this morning on breakfast. Take a listen.
The whole purpose of what we're doing is to bring down these dangerous boat crossings because we think no one should be making those boat crossings. What we did say, what the Prime Minister said yesterday, is there's no single silver bullet, whether it's about this new returns agreement, which frankly I think is the right thing to do, or any of the other measures that we're talking about. We've seen 6 years of people claiming that one single thing, particularly the previous government claiming one single thing, or opposition parties claiming one single thing is going to solve it. What we need is a comprehensive approach.
True, but one single thing, i.e. stopping the boats, would actually solve it. Reform UK leader Nigel Farage didn't take kindly to the President's attacks on Brexit.
Is Brexit Britain? We voted to take back control of our borders, not to accept a deal given to us by a French president. But I think what we're facing here is a national security emergency. Australia stopped it by towing the boats back to Indonesia. We will stop it by leaving the ECHR, by getting the right to deport. That will work. If it doesn't, in the end, we'll take the boats back to France.
OK, joining us now is political commentator Andy Williams, who's down the line. Andy, good morning. Welcome along. What's your thoughts on the deal that was announced yesterday?
Well, I think what Yvette Cooper said is absolutely right. This clearly is not a silver bullet, but it is a step in the right direction and a very welcome one. What we're going to have as a result of this deal is a number of migrants who shouldn't be here, economic migrants, sent back straight away and replaced with people, asylum seekers, true asylum seekers, who have been vetted and who we can be sure will be safe coming to this country. So I think that's a really positive step forward. And good to see Yvette Cooper on GB News, by the way. The other thing I'd say is that Nigel Farage's comments just show what an ideologue he is. He is not a pragmatist, he is an ideologue. He doesn't like this deal because it involves Emmanuel Macron and it involves France. Surely, if this is progress, he should welcome it.
You think this is progress? All right, so what number of people a week can be deported? Do you know? Yvette refused to answer it, but we do know that what the rough figure is.
I believe it's about 6%, so we're looking at about 2,500 people in the pilot, that's my understanding.
So a week, that equates to about 50 people a week.
Yeah,
do you know what
so
I mean? Which is only 4% of the people, or 6% of the people.
Yeah, I believe it's 6%. So it's obviously, as she says, it's not a silver bullet. This is a pilot, and I think it's a step in the right direction. And of course, if this pilot scheme works and is effective, it will be rolled out more widely. It's not the only thing, but it has to be part of a series of solutions, and I think we need to welcome it as a step forward.
So,
Labour was very clear.
Hold on. So with this small percentage of people, you do realise this small percentage of people can also create legal challenges. So if they are put back on the boat or told to go back, they can now access the benefit of legal aid and will then be able to fight their corner.
Well, I think we need to. This is why it's such a challenging situation. And for all the people who say, "Well, this is straightforward, and we can just tow the boats," it's not the case. You know, the reality is that we have a very, very complex challenge that we need to solve here. And of course, there has to be redress for people who are genuine asylum seekers. And I just think we have to abide by international law. Now, that's a difference of opinion between me and probably you. But I do think it's important that we abide by that.
Yeah, if they didn't arrive, though, if they were, sent back before they crossed to the UK, then none of this would be necessary.
Andy, can I ask you, do you think the UK will ever stop the boats in their entirety?
I don't think we'll ever stop the boats in their entirety, no, because I think the reality is that we have a 22 or so mile stretch of water between here and France, which is very, very difficult to police. And I think the geography makes it challenging. So to get down to zero, to me, seems impossible unless you run roughshod over international law. Now, again, some people might be willing to do that. I wouldn't be.
Andy, with respect, I'm sick of hearing about people prioritising the international order and international law over Britain's, in this case, national security. You know, why don't we put Britain first?
Well, international law protects our international security in a number of other ways.
Doesn't look like it.
So these things are much more complicated than some people make out. You know, international law is very, very important, and it's not something you can cherry pick. So I think I'm just giving you an honest answer to an honest question.
No, thank you for answering.
Do I think we'll ever stop the boats? No, I don't.
That's pretty bleak, isn't it?
Yeah,
thank you for answering. Yeah,
yes, I think Yvette knows as well. But, you know, ultimately, Andy, it is a business model by a load of smugglers who are making billions through it. So that's all it really is. It's nothing to do with anything else apart from money, which is why we're in the situation. Andy Williams, thank you very much. Right, well, there is plenty of time now to grab your chance to win the biggest cash prize so far.
An incredible £54,321, 54321. Get it? Here's all the
funny.
Here's all the details you need to win.
You have the chance to win our biggest cash prize to date in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just the chance to sit back, relax, and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck to you on that. Still ahead on Britain's Newsroom, the new superhero blockbuster Superman is out today, and some critics, Nana, are slamming it for being too woke.
Well, I think the only heroes who can beat the supervillain, the woke monster, is us, Banana.
Yes, look at that. Love that jawline. Look at the hairline. I'll take that.
Yeah, that one looks like me, the other one not so much you.
There's still time.
Yep.
Give me a few years, I'll get there.
Ah, they're so cute, though, aren't they, together? You're with Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we are proud to stand for you, for the Britain you love, for the communities you live in. That's what makes us the fearless champions of Britain. Its voices and its values. Because we, at GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning, it's 11:24. This is Britain's Newsroom with Ben Leo and me, Nana Aguirre.
Good morning. We're joined by former Labour Minister Bill Rammell and former political advisor Charlie Rowley. Bill, I'll just say before we kick off, you have lost how much? 3 stone.
3 stone in weeks.
Bill just said to me off air, Ben, as a regular on your show on the weekends, I'm disappointed that you've not mentioned I've lost 3 stone. So there we go. Well done, Bill.
Nana noticed, and I'm on the drugs.
You did notice.
Oh, you're on the
Yeah.
Are you on the jabs, are you?
Yeah, Mr. Manjaro.
Are they working?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Of course, there are obviously other brands as well.
Charlie, when are you going to start the jabs?
He doesn't need to.
Goodness me.
Listen, so let's talk about
I didn't turn up for this.
I want to talk about the resident doctors because I personally think they're being very, very greedy. 77,000 of them, they are available. But however, only 55% of them voted. Out of that, only a third of them, or only half of those people, voted to strike, which means only a third of the resident doctors voted for the 5-day strike.
I know.
Utterly greedy.
Utterly greedy. Resident doctors, formerly known as junior doctors, and they're acting in the most junior way I think anyone in the public sector could. They've already had a public sector pay rise over and above anyone else.
22%.
Who works in the exactly.
And then 5%.
And then 5%. So anyone else that works in the NHS, must be, turning against them because they're looking at their resident doctor counterpart and thinking, why on earth are these people able to keep striking again and again, increasing the backlog of cases that need to be dealt with?
Should he have caved in the first place, Wes Streeting and the government?
I don't think they should have, no. I think it was, we don't have the money. Clearly the economy is tanked again because of the increase in public pay that's going out the Treasury door, money that we don't have. I think, the idea, and this whole, ridiculous nonsense that paying people more was going to stop the strikes. Well, hello, we've got them again. So this is just throwing money good after bad. And I do think Wes Streeting is absolutely right to go toe-to-toe and head-to-head with these people to make it absolutely clear they shouldn't be getting a single penny more, and the strikes are wholly irresponsible.
And it does seem to be a lot of younger doctors, so the younger ones who are doing it. But this is the problem with this is they were given no stipulations as to when they were given the money, and they also used the retail price index to calculate how much they were, how their money was behind inflation instead of the consumer price index. And the retail price index put it at 21%, whereas had they used the consumer one, it would have just been 4.7.
Yeah, and look, this is utterly unreasonable. They have had a very significant pay rise. Their pay comparability figures fall apart under scrutiny. One, yes, they're using RPI instead of CPI. Two, if you use 2015 as the base year, their pay has gone up substantially. It's gone up £9,500 in the last 3 years. Starting salary for a junior doctor, resident doctor, is £39,000 a year.
Pretty good.
I think most people would say that is a reasonable sum of money, and I think the government has got to hold the line. Also, I will say this, when I was Higher Education Minister, I met all sorts of student groups. The group that I found the most entitled and challenging was the junior medics. They have a belief that, sorry, I shouldn't say they, a number of them have a belief that because they serve the public, they should get what they demand, and I don't think that's right.
Well, what about the pensions as well? Because they get 75% pension, which is 75% of the final salary. And then in terms of how much is contributed to that, they put in themselves between 5 to 12%. But the state then contributes a further 23.7% in comparison to the private sector, where you might put in between 8 to 12%, and then your employer will put in 3%. It's like they don't get that the state are being incredibly generous. They're costing us £1 billion a month.
Yeah, and Wes Streeting has said this week, if they want to trade off some of the pension for pay rise, the government can look at that. And I think that's probably sensible. But this level of demand and, the 10-year plan, which was very widely welcomed, that is at risk if they are going to start striking.
But just how tone deaf, because they're going out there to say, no, we need the pay rise because actually, we deal with the heart surgeries, we deal with all the complicated stuff. We're the ones that actually keep people alive. Well, OK, that's all very well and good. You've got a very serious job, and that's what you've trained for. That's what you've chosen to go into. It's a very, very good job. Not dismissing that for a second. But there are other people up and down this country that work exceptionally hard.
Farmers.
For farmers, exactly, that keep food on our shelves. That's what's keeping us alive.
The
there are people that work in education that are keeping us doing, teachers that are keeping us educated, the military that are defending. You name it, you're absolutely taking the words out of my mouth. You've got them all there. We've got a sheet going.
And they are given, the junior doctors have the highest pay increase of all of them.
Exactly. There are so many other people in this country that keep us ticking over and keep us alive, and I think they're the ones that are losing out.
OK. Bill, should we talk about Sick Note Britain? 11 million people signed off work last year. Not all of them will be shirking. I'm sure many of them are genuinely sick, disabled and whatever else.
But a lot though, isn't it?
What's your thoughts on that figure? It's quite staggering.
It is staggering, and it's gone up 100% in a few years. And I think it's one of the ways in which, post-COVID, we are just not recovering as a society and a nation in the way that we should be. And doctors just signing people off sick with no other channel of support, I think, is wrong. And that's why the rollout of these pilots of giving advice about, going to the gym, lifestyle, and the rest of it, and helping people writing CVs, getting back into work, has got to be the right way forward.
Charlie?
Well, since you criticised, body-shamed me, I'll be straight up the doctor because I'm feeling a bit depressed. I might get signed off.
No.
They'll probably refer me to the gym. But
Well, you need to be working, actually. If you're depressed, you don't want to sit at home ruminating.
But
you go to work.
that's obviously what people do for too long. If they're feeling a bit down, they'll go to the doctor, and it's far too easy for a doctor just to prescribe you, for example, antidepressants, for example, when actually you need someone to say, no, come on, get back to it.
I will say, life can be hard, though. Life
is hard for most
it's getting
people.
harder.
Well, sitting here is quite tough next to you on a Friday afternoon, I have to say today. But it is. There are lots of people who, on the back of COVID, have lost out. Social media, I think, plays on a lot of people's anxieties and fears. But there are other ways to do it than medication. There are other ways to do it than through the NHS. And I think we need to be, just as it's too easy to sign off an asylum claim, it's far too easy to sign someone off work. And we've got to get back to what Britain used to be like.
Well, there are other things that can release the happy hormones, the oxytocins, and those things are things like exercise. To help
Well, I'm
balance.
joking. I'm very happy here.
Exactly.
On this show
Well,
with you three.
Very wise that you've come back on. Otherwise you won't be here again.
Even if you're being body shamed.
I think you're fitter than I am, so, yeah.
Wow.
All right,
Take me to lunch first.
Charlie Rowley, Bill Rummel, thank you very much.
Thank you both. Here's your 60-second news update with Tatiana Sanchez.
Ben, thank you very much and good morning. The headlines at 11:30. The Home Secretary says the new one-in, one-out migrant scheme agreed with France is robust enough to withstand potential legal challenges. The government is urging GPs to issue fewer sick notes and instead direct patients towards gyms and support services to help more people to return to work. The UK economy shrank unexpectedly in May, contracted for the second month in a row. The Office for National Statistics said the economy contracted by 0.1%. A hosepipe ban is coming into force in Yorkshire and in Sussex as the third heat wave of the summer grips the country. And long-awaited plans to crack down on the misleading tactics and confusing processes used by private parking companies have been launched. The government says the aim is to create a fairer, more transparent private parking system. Those are the latest headlines for now. More news at the top of the hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Coming up at midday is Good Afternoon Britain with Tom and Dawn. Welcome back, Dawn.
Hello.
Putting a shift in today.
Here you are again, crikey.
I know. Couldn't resist working with young Tom.
It's because there's so much news about
Yes.
it, and we're looking forward to talking through it all. Not least, is the European Union going to kibosh this deal that Keir Starmer and Emmanuel Macron has signed? Because France doesn't actually have control over this deal. They've said that they'll sign it with Britain, but the final say is with the European Union because they're a member state.
None of it's been ratified yet. And you've already got Italy and Spain and all the countries in southern Europe going, well, hold on a minute, how's this going to work for us? It's not going to happen.
Well, maybe they might want it to happen because then they can dislodge all their migrants and in the UK, because we're only sending, 6% of the, about 50 of them back a week. So,
Well, exactly. It's one in. It's
I
like
would be.
one in, one out. It's like the hokey cokey from hell, isn't it? It's just not really.
It's not one in, one out.
even one in.
It's 17 in, one out, at least at the initial stage.
Moot point.
At least, what Yvette Cooper seems to suggest this morning, though, is that, OK, this could be ramped up. It's a pilot for now. We'll see how it goes. We could ramp this up. But there's a lot of confusion over what exactly is going to be the status of people who come to the United Kingdom, claim asylum here, are granted asylum here. Are they also going to be included in those that are sent back? Or even if this scheme is running at its maxed out level, could there still be people who are accepted by coming across on small boats, and would those people therefore just take their risk?
Well, there would
on
be,
those
yeah.
small boats?
Well, this
Well,
is
there
the
would
problem.
be. See, it's not 100% of the people that come via that route.
Yeah.
It's only 6% of people come in via that route. And for those 6%, they can mount legal challenges, which we're still paying for.
And what happens to families and relatives? That hasn't been discussed yet. Yvette Cooper won't answer any of these questions.
Well, also, she didn't mention about the fact that if they have a link to Britain, then they'll be allowed to come. But what is that link, and how tenuous does it need to be?
And I think we're also doing another arm wrestling session, aren't we?
Certainly are. Every time that we do it, we sort of need to... We didn't really quite finish the last one.
No, we
so
didn't, but I've been training. It's vegans versus meat eaters again.
And speaking of meat eaters, there is a school in the United Kingdom where they're not being offered meat options. The children are complaining, the parents are up in arms. What on earth is going on in this vegetarian-owned school without any choice?
Yeah, ridiculous. All right, that's coming up in midday. Thank you very much, Dawn, Tom. Look forward to that. Up next, national reporter Charlie Peters has some big breaking news that you won't want to miss.
Yes, this is Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Hi there, and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's going to be a hot one today for many of us, with sunny skies widely across the UK, a little bit cooler on the east coast, a few mist patches. With high pressure sitting in the North Sea, we've got an east to southeasterly airflow across the country. That's why the heat is more distributed towards the west and the north of the country, but actually for the vast majority it's simply a sunny day, and it will continue to be so. One or two mist patches lurking off the coast of Northern Ireland, eastern Scotland, eastern England, but these really will be restricted to just a few coastal areas. Inland, it's clear blue skies and rising temperatures, widely the mid to high 20s, and for much of England and East Wales we're talking about the low 30s. And we end the day pretty warm across Scotland. Again, a few mist patches here and there around coastal parts, but inland, plenty of sunshine as we head into the evening. And even at this stage, Glasgow still 27 Celsius. Northern Ireland still temperatures hovering around the mid-20s, and 31, 32 Celsius even at 6 p.m. across some parts of the West Midlands, central southern England, East Wales. That, of course, will lead on to a very warm night in many spots, with temperatures in the west particularly high. In fact, some western hills and coasts could see temperatures stay at 20, 21 Celsius through the night. In the east, we will see some mist and low cloud creep into coastal parts. This will be patchy again, but it will be around first thing Saturday. So actually a cloudier start for the North Sea coast, and we've got that onshore breeze. So eastern coasts of England and Scotland will be kept cooler through Saturday, but elsewhere across the UK, it's perhaps the peak of the heat, with temperatures reaching 33 or 34 Celsius in the West Midlands and East Wales.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good morning, 11:39 here on GB News. Now, police officers incorrectly produced a custody sheet for an arrest that never happened. That is according to the father of a grooming gang victim.
Jack, which isn't his real name, said he was arrested twice in 2005 when trying to rescue his daughter from an abuse den in Rotherham.
But a police custody record seen by GB News lists his address as a property that he did not live at until 2010.
Well, Jack exclusively told our national reporter Charlie Peters that he believes this was an error made by the police as they retrospectively produced the custody sheet.
So GB News reporter Charlie Peters is here to tell us more. Charlie.
Well, this occurred 20 years ago, and Jack, the father of Elizabeth, that grooming gang victim who has achieved some successful prosecutions against her many abusers, Jack has now come forward with this claim about a custody sheet. He says that he was arrested twice as he tried to rescue her, but a custody sheet for an arrest around that time said that he lived at an address that he wasn't at, actually, until 5 years later. I've got a special report now from Rotherham that I can bring you.
With his daughter Elizabeth being kept in an abuse den for weeks and the police failing to act, Jack took matters into his own hands.
After keeping informing them, it must have been hundreds of times, I just had enough. I went over to the flat, kicking off, swearing outside, shouting that I were coming in flat. Next minute, there were a police car pulled up, 2 police officers, arrested me. They pulled up on the street where I lived, told me I would de-arrested, get in house and don't go back to the flat. So I did, I went back in house, but by then things were going round in my head, I'd lost it, kicking doors, shouting. I noticed as I turned round that there's a police van there, 2 men and a woman, put cuffs on me, said I were arrested, took me down to the police station.
But Jack says he was never booked in at the station. Instead, they held him there for a few hours before releasing him and telling him not to go back. This was 2005. Years later, when the Rotherham grooming gang scandal was exposed, Jack and his daughter made complaints about the incident to the Independent Office for Police Conduct. But when his complaint was dismissed, the police force's lawyers released a custody sheet alleging that he was arrested in 2005 for being drunk and disorderly at a different location. Jack claims that this account is false and that the custody sheet contains several errors.
They've got me down at an address I didn't live at until 5 years later, which had been 2010. They've also got me down at age 58. Well, I'm only in my early 60s now, so that'd have made this all happened 4 years ago. When in actual fact, date on this sheet is 2005.
Have you ever been arrested for being drunk and disorderly?
I was arrested once, day before my 18th birthday, for underage drinking.
But not in the 21st century?
No. No, it weren't, no.
What's your explanation for why this has happened then?
It's to stop me proving that I was arrested twice.
Jack now believes that the custody sheet was written retrospectively to cover up his arrests outside the abuse den. If it was written in 2005, the force would not have recorded his address from 2010.
Why do you think they arrested you in 2005 instead of rescuing your daughter?
Because they didn't want it to go public. As we all know about Rotherham, not just Rotherham, everywhere. Right? We were told we was the only family going through this. We reported it over 200 times, right, over months. We were told, well, it's you and your wife's bad parenting because it's only happening to you. If these police officers are still in police force now, obviously they've moved up to higher positions and they're lying and making things up to cover what they've done. And it's wrong. As far as I'm concerned, they're in the same bed as the perpetrators because that's what they are. They're still aiding and abetting these people after 25 years.
This family is still waiting for justice, but now they fear that it might never be delivered. Charlie Peters, GB News, Rotherham.
Now, as I said before, Elizabeth has had a successful prosecution in her case, but they did make a complaint, this family, about that incident and several others to the Independent Office for Police Conduct in 2014. Those complaints form part of Operation Linden, which was the IOPC's investigation into those failures by South Yorkshire Police in the South Yorkshire town of Rotherham. It was the second longest investigation in the Independent Office's history, second only to the Hillsborough disaster. Now, Operation Linden concluded in 2021, and that complaint from Jack and Elizabeth that he had been arrested twice while trying to rescue his daughter. That was not upheld. They said that there was insufficient evidence there for it. However, in legal correspondence seen by GB News, solicitors representing SYP said that while the IOPC found no record of the arrest, they did conclude that if he was arrested outside that house in 2005, it would have been lawful to prevent a breach of the peace. But let's just be clear what we're talking about here, a breach of the peace. This is a father who he says was trying to break down a door and get into a flat to raise the authorities to the alert on the issue of his daughter being abused inside that house. Now, there are still questions to be answered about why the wrong address is on that custody sheet. Why is it that an address that Jack did not live in 2005, but only in 2010, is on a sheet that says he was arrested for being drunk and disorderly in June 2005? These are the questions that need to be answered. So we raised these concerns with the IOPC and South Yorkshire Police, and a spokesperson for the IOPC said that in June, we received a voluntary complaint referral from South Yorkshire Police, which included an allegation relating to concerns regarding a custody record of a family member. They went on to say that after assessing the matter, we decided that this complaint should be returned to the force for South Yorkshire Police to deal with the complaint as it deems reasonable and proportionate, noting that the allegation was similar to a previous complaint made by the complainant that had already been through the complaints process. That's what I was talking about with that Operation Linden complaint. We now have a statement also from South Yorkshire Police, a spokesperson for the force, saying that a complaint relating to a custody log was made to South Yorkshire Police, and we voluntarily referred this to the IOPC. The IOPC have since reviewed that complaint and subsequently determined that this is a matter for South Yorkshire Police to manage. We have since determined that the matter should be investigated, and that investigation is now underway. The complainant has been notified of our decision to investigate. So, Nana and Ben, there are several questions to answer here, and I know that the family relating to this complaint, they urgently want those questions to be answered. At this stage, we don't know why that address is on the custody log from 2005. There could be a legitimate explanation as to why that's been done. We've heard the allegations from Jack. He believes that this was retrospectively altered in order to cover up some of the failures of South Yorkshire Police. But we do know now that they have determined that the matter should be investigated. I'll leave with this. The family is concerned that the force that has written that custody log is investigating that custody log. Yeah, there are questions there to be answered as well.
All right, thank you so much, Charlie Peters. Brilliant as ever. Now, if it's not hot enough in Britain and you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Whilst the UK will experience Mediterranean-like temperatures on Saturday, it's not going to be quite as hot through the Mediterranean as it has been recently. For the Canaries and for Madeira, fairly typical conditions for the time of year. Breezy, partly cloudy, otherwise fine. But we've got this area of thunderstorms developing across northern Spain, the Pyrenees, Andorra, southern France. They could be quite lively. And for Italy, for Greece, sunny spells. Not quite as hot, but it is going to heat up into next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The 12th, a day to celebrate history, community and family here in Northern Ireland. Join me, Arlene Foster.
And me, Dougie Beattie, as we bring you live coverage of the July 12th celebrations.
Right across the United Kingdom. It's all happening here on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
'Cause the failure is-
you're
the failure is-
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, though. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Yes, there they are, Oasis, Supersonic. They're returning tonight to Manchester.
Yes, Oasis, the duo, Noel and Liam Gallagher. I think they're like two children in a high chair arguing with each other. They're going to be playing at Heaton Park. They even sound like that as well. Later on today, in front of a sold-out show.
We're joined by Oasis superfan Johnny Rooney. Johnny, good morning. Tell us, are you absolutely buzzing for tonight? Tell us what the atmosphere is like. What are your plans?
Well, do you know what, mate? We're all tuned into one frequency today. It's Oasis. I can't wait. Last time I was here in 2009. You know, unbelievable. I'm absolutely buzzing.
And it's the first night, right? So it's Noel and Liam's hometown, home city. Why is it going to be extra special?
Well, I think it'll be extra special because I think that, you know, obviously it's a homecoming gig. And I read this morning that Cardiff, they were actually warm-up shows of a sort. So I'm expecting a few surprises in set lists and things like that. Obviously, it's a hotter day. Outside, people are always more, you know, I just think the crowds will be more rowdy. I just think it's going to be spectacular, you know.
Oh, that sounds good. Well, listen, hopefully, they'll talk to the crowd well, because I don't know, in previous gigs, they don't even talk to the crowd, do they?
Well, do you know what? Little tiny bits of dialect at Cardiff, but you know what? Maybe we might, maybe we won't. But like I said, I've been to Heaton Park before. Went in 2009. It was the day Liam launched his clothing range, and the generator blew. So let's hope that doesn't happen again.
All right, well, let's hope it doesn't. Johnny, have a fantastic gig, and hopefully you'll talk to me maybe tomorrow whenever it is on my show, and I'd love to hear your feedback on that. We'll get you back on. Thank you very much, Johnny Rooney.
Music is power.
Music is power, music is life. Thank you, Johnny. Boom.
Have fun, Johnny. Right, that's it from Britain's Newsroom. Up next is Good Afternoon Britain with Dawn. Welcome back, and Tom Harwood.
It certainly is. And it's going to be a busy, busy show. There's a lot happening, both in world affairs and also here in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, we're mad for it.
Maverick.
Maverick. And look, there's me and Nana.
Superhero.
You look amazing.
I look good, don't
I have to say, one of you looks much better in lycra than the other.
And one looks more realistic. I look genuine. But I reckon out of Tom and you, Ben, who is the biggest superhero?
I think Tom's more of a cardio man. I probably do more weights.
All right, I think what we could challenge
a competition?
that. Let's do a competition.
Are we being challenged live on television?
Press ups, let's go.
Okay, good boy.
Okay, right, this is probably the most macho thing I've ever done on television.
They look exactly the same.
Why are we wearing exactly the same suits?
Yeah.
This is we should have coordinated better.
Shouldn't you be wearing your pants and your trousers as well?
We look the same, but vastly different political views, I suspect.
All right,
ready?
Where are we going? Just on the floor here? Okay.
Can we get this?
Right.
Are you ready?
Okay, let's go. Chest to the floor.
Pass to 21. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tom Harwood.
Easy, one hand.
Technique. That's cheating, Tom. You're doing
A very funny colour, Nana.
How many are we doing? I'm on like...
Until one of you give up, man. Who's going to give up?
Keep going. I've not even had breakfast.
I think Tom's going to go
Are we just going to do... I've got 3 hours of this to come.
Tom's doing like his bum coming down like that. It's not quite a real
Who's got the better form, Nana?
Yours is a better form. This is...
We're going to carry on to one of you just...
Who's going to cark it first? Come on, keep on them. Keep on them. They're coming.
Come on, boys. Come on, you can do it. Nana and I are doing it next and we'll thrash you both.
Come on, go, go. Who's going to stop?
Think of the family.
No, you're not allowed to stop. You're not allowed to stop. That's cheating. Come on, who's going to go first? They look exactly the same. Oh, very good.
Well
Good game. No cracking. I think... Should we call that a draw?
Draw.
Good stuff.
Come on, Nana, let's go and show them how
let's do that. Maybe not so much.
Oh, seriously.
Well done. See, this
that would have been great for people listening on the radio.
So what they were doing, by the way, was they were doing press-ups in the front there to see who would cock it first. They generously stopped together. So
they did, yeah, very gentlemanly.
But they do exactly the same, and some viewers sometimes get confused.
No, we do. I'm often called Ben, you're often called Tom.
Well, people say, Ben, your views on the trans situation's changed a lot since last week. And I say, no, that's Tom Harwood.
Oh, there we go. But clearly, neither of us are going to get confused for the chap behind on the screen there.
Thank you for your company today. Good afternoon, Bristol. Is up next. See you soon.
Imagine having an extra £1,000 to spend each week for an entire year. £54,321 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to spend however you like. £54,321 in cash could be landing in your bank account this year. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From the school run to the home